Nima, good to see you, and thanks for being with us here. You were tweeting about the Diddy case today. There was an emergency hearing in Lower Manhattan, the judge ordering the prosecution to turn over its findings from a jail cell raid, Diddy's jail cell, just yesterday. What were the contents of those raids?
Well, apparently, according to the defense, they're legal documents. The government's saying no, on the contrary, they're just some handwritten notes and a calendar. And what the judge did, Judge Subramanian, is he ordered the prosecution to destroy their copies. He kept copies, and he's going to review them in chambers or in camera. And one of two things will happen. Either the defense is right, and those are privileged materials, in which case they will not go to the prosecution, or the prosecution is right, and they have nothing to do with the legal case, and the government will get copies. It's only 20 pages. I don't think it'll take the judge that long, but I think the media is reporting this as some huge win for the defense because the government has to destroy their copies. They may get copies of those documents in a matter of days. So I think it's premature to say that this is any type of victory for Sean Diddy Combs. Really, the only victory today was the judge said that he doesn't have to be shackled during the pendency of the proceedings in court. So I think that's a big win for him.
All right, yeah, Nima, I was going to characterize it as some type of victory for Combs. You kind of disabused me of that notion. Is it only because this is purely temporary, to your point, whatever was recovered there from the cell, these notes, the prosecution will eventually get their hands on? The judge just now saying for now they cannot.
As of November 20th, 2024, Sean Diddy Combs remains in federal custody, facing serious legal challenges. In September, he was arrested and charged with multiple offenses, including racketeering and other federal crimes. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Recently, a federal judge ruled that notes seized from Combs' jail cell cannot be used in court proceedings. His defense argued that these handwritten notes contained privileged information related to his defense strategy, and their seizure violated his constitutional rights. The judge agreed, ordering that all copies of the notes be destroyed and excluded from evidence. Combs has been denied bail twice, with the court citing concerns about potential witness tampering and the seriousness of the charges. Prosecutors allege that Combs has attempted to influence witnesses from jail using various communication methods. His legal team disputes these claims, maintaining his innocence and arguing that the prosecution's case lacks substantial evidence. In addition to the criminal charges, Combs faces multiple civil lawsuits alleging misconduct spanning several years. These lawsuits have been filed by various individuals, including former employees and associates, alleging a pattern of abusive behavior. Combs' legal team has denied these allegations, labeling them as attempts to tarnish his reputation. The entertainment industry and the public are closely monitoring these developments, as the outcome could have significant implications. Combs' trial is scheduled to begin on May 5th, 2025. The upcoming bail hearing, set for November 22nd, 2024, will be a critical moment in determining whether he will remain in custody or be released under specific conditions as he awaits trial.
Because my next guest just testified before a federal grand jury. He says he was in possession of a trove of digital evidence from Diddy's freak-offs and parties. His name is Courtney Burgess, and he says a friend gave him 11 flash drives that belonged to the late Kim Porter. And if you follow this story, you'll know that Kim Porter is Diddy's ex-girlfriend and the mother of 4 of his kids. On those drives, the witness says 8 videos featured 8 celebrities at Diddy freak-offs or parties, and that 6 were males, 2 were females. The drive also included a manuscript of an alleged Kim Porter memoir, a memoir that her 4 kids insist is fake. Courtney Burgess told his story on a podcast before he told the grand jury today, and after he told the grand jury, and I mean immediately after, he booked it over to my set, and he and his attorney talked to me. I should tell you that he was very limited in how much detail he could go into about his testimony. And because the 8 people in the videos, the 8 celebrities in the videos were allegedly victims of sex crimes, we know who they are, but we will not be naming them, famous or not. Here now is my conversation with Courtney Burgess and Ariel Mitchell, who's his attorney. beginning with the question of whether the participants in the video even knew they were being recorded. Were there any cameras in places where you'd assume privacy, like bathrooms?
Well, I've never been in this house, but the picture, yes. That's where it took place, yes.
You're aware of surreptitious cameras that were recording in private places like bathrooms.
I didn't see the cameras. You could tell how the person was angled. I knew that it was a camera there because I was there. You know, I wasn't there. I don't know if the person was too tall, he was holding it or whatever, but I wasn't there.
May I ask you this, Courtney? And Ariel, you can jump in on this as well, but I want to hear from Courtney first. Your home was raided by federal authorities, and I assume it is because of this material. Is that true?
I wouldn't say that. They just went to every one of them looking for me. They said, the paperwork said the 24th, that I had to be there the 28th, and then it was the 27th. I said, I can't make it there, that's tomorrow. So I don't know. From the look of it, it was 4 days.
And I want to be specific. When we talk about a raid, we're talking about when a subpoena is served for documents, a search warrant or an arrest warrant. In this situation, Mr. Burgess was not in any way, shape, or form had a search warrant or an arrest warrant issued for him. It was just them serving a subpoena. So when the federal government needs to serve a subpoena, they use the Marshal Service to come to all of your residences if you have more than one residence. So in this situation, they sent marshals to all of Mr. Burgess's residences, and that was somehow construed or understood or turned into a raid, but he did not face a raid. It was just to serve him the subpoena.
Ariel, do you believe that the subpoenas were issued and executed based on the federal authorities' knowledge that these flash drives existed and had this kind of compromising material?
I think it was based on statements that Mr. Burgess made in a prior interview.
I don't F with that dude. And at the time, I didn't even know who the F Usher was. You know what I'm saying? It was one of those type of situations. And when probably say, yo, man, I don't F with them niggas. Man, I'm getting out that industry and everything like that. You know, Puff sent this little kid to the hospital. How he sent her to the hospital? Man, Nick was bleeding from the butt. And that's what was said. But I didn't even have a name for the kid at the time. Then you heard, and that's what happened. And that's just, that's something that you heard. You don't know if it's true, you just heard it.
Recent claims have surfaced suggesting that Sean Diddy Combs may have transported minors to private events, raising serious concerns. These allegations are tied to broader accusations of misconduct and exploitation that have come to light in recent months. Reports describe instances where young individuals were allegedly present at gatherings where inappropriate behavior, including the use of drugs and alcohol, was said to occur. Such events, often referred to as freak-offs, have been characterized as highly private and controversial, with claims that they included activities lasting for days and involved various participants. The suggestion that minors might have been involved adds a deeply troubling layer to these allegations. Diddy has denied any wrongdoing in these matters and is currently facing legal proceedings where these claims, among others, are being examined. His legal team has been vocal in challenging the handling of the investigation and the accusations against him, calling for a fair examination of the evidence. This ongoing case has brought significant scrutiny to Diddy's public image, with many awaiting the trial scheduled for 2025. The outcomes of these proceedings will likely have far-reaching consequences for both his personal and professional life.
Things that I've saw or things that I've witnessed and been a part of, I've said it. I'm not afraid to say what I saw or what I didn't see. A lot of people want to make up shit. I don't make up things. When I say Puff go in the room with two girls, you understand, and another guy and a rapper, and then all of a sudden they cousin try to go in the room, I throw them up against the piano, they run out the room grabbing towels and they naked. They still had two girls in the room. But people want to make up a lot of bullshit.
It's one of Court TV's most legendary trials, the Menendez brothers, who shot and killed their parents, Jose and Kitty, back in 1989. At trial, the brothers claim they were physically and sexually abused by their father. But now, after spending more than 30 years behind bars, they're hoping to be freed. A Netflix drama series and documentary brought new attention to the case, causing many to call for their release, including the LA District Attorney, George Gascon. But he lost his re-election, and now his successor is speaking out about the Menendez brothers.
And good evening and welcome to Closing Arguments. I'm Ted Rollins in for Vinny Politan tonight, and we're going to begin tonight with the Menendez brothers. Eric and Lyle Menendez were convicted of shooting and killing both of their parents, of course, back in 1989. The brothers claim they committed the murders because of years of physical and sexual abuse at the hands of their father, Jose. Even so, they were convicted and sentenced to life without parole. That was it, no parole. But since that day, nearly 35 years ago, a lot has changed. Lyle and Eric have been called model prisoners. New evidence has come to light that might prove the allegations of that sexual abuse, and that extremely popular Netflix series and documentary has brought public interest back to their case. Then the election happened. LA County District Attorney George Gascon, before the election, came out and made a big deal about saying, I recommend that Eric and Lyle come out. People thought, was this a political stunt at the time? But the office recommended that they basically be eligible for parole. The problem is George Gascon did not win his re-election. Nathan Hochman destroyed him in the election, and now he is taking over as the next Los Angeles County District Attorney on December 2nd. So what does that mean for the Menendez brothers? They have a hearing on December 11th, and the new guy in town, Nathan Hochman, he was just with us here on Closing Arguments. He's going to take over December 2nd. He is now going to be leading this charge, and he says he's going to need some time. He's going to look at all of the available information and then decide what to do. There's a hearing on December 11th. In terms of the recall, the request that was already submitted by the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, everyone's ready to go. Mark Garagos is representing the family. He has witnesses lined up, ready to come in to talk about the Menendez and their rehabilitation. Let's bring in the think tank, see what they think about all this. Joining us tonight, criminal defense attorney Eklund Bursey is with us. Also with us, retired criminal defense attorney Kirk Nurmi and Los Angeles County Deputy Public Defender Philip Dubé. Philip, you know all about what's going on in LA. Did you hear? I don't know if you were able to watch the interview we just did, but what's your take on where this is going post-election?
Well, I mean, first of all, you got to let the man put his keys in his briefcase down and, get his mug and get situated. I mean, just entering political office probably for the first time in his life. And I am heartened by the fact that this man won the election because of his prosecutorial experience and his criminal defense experience. I think he's going to bring a proportional balance in his, not only his hiring, but also his filing decisions. So I'm actually happy for their office. Not to mention that there has been nonstop internecine strife since Gascon was elected because of his groundbreaking policies that he instituted literally overnight. I mean, the attorneys that worked under the prior administration, Jackie Lacey, I'm not going to say that they had some rigorous or difficult guidelines, but they had some precedent, if you will, and they had some predictability in how things were going to go, and the rank and file was pretty much happy with how all that went. And then suddenly, when Gascon took office, he flipped the script and had to whipsaw everybody into pivoting into a new ideology, and it took them by surprise. And I think the biggest problem is, in my honest opinion, is he had very poor stewardship skills. He could not manage the office. The morale was at an all-time low, and they actually had very serious staffing problems. They could not keep people or hire people. So I know that Mr. Hochman's going to bring in a new energy, a new ideology, and rebuild that office. Now, having said that,
what about the Menendez brothers, Philip?
Yes. Once he rolls up his sleeves, I truly believe, and I really mean this, just like a corporation, there is great deference to decisions that have already been made so you can move on with other business. And I think it would create more strife to go back and revisit a prosecutorial decision that's already been made. You have to allow prosecutors and judges to remain independent from any political type fallout, from any political problems, and let things go forward as they already were.
The Menendez brothers, Lyle and Eric, were convicted in 1996 for the 1989 murders of their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez, in their Beverly Hills home. They admitted to the killings but claimed they acted in self-defense after enduring years of sexual and emotional abuse by their father, allegations that were central to their defense during the trial. The prosecution, however, argued that the brothers were motivated by financial gain, seeking to inherit their parents' wealth. Ultimately, both were found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In recent years, new evidence has emerged that has prompted a reevaluation of their case. Notably, a letter written by Eric Menendez in 1988, months before the murders, describes the alleged abuse he was experiencing. Additionally, a witness, Roy Rossello, a former member of the band Menudo, has come forward claiming he was sexually assaulted by Jose Menendez. These revelations have led to increased public interest and calls for reconsideration of the brothers' sentences. In response to this new evidence, Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon recommended that the brothers be resentenced to 50 years to life, which could make them eligible for parole. However, California Governor Gavin Newsom has decided to delay any decision on clemency until the newly elected Los Angeles County District Attorney, Nathan Hochman, reviews the case.
I'm sorry to kill my parents. Violent things don't happen in Beverly Hills. They just don't. It was shocking.
Everything was colliding at that moment, and my brother said,
"This was it, and they were going to kill us."
And I just felt chills over my body.
I've been in this business for over 33 years, and I've heard of very few murders that were more savage than this one was.
What I had done was I just wanted to undo it. I just wanted to go back in time. I didn't want this moment to be real.
The police began to focus on the boys as possibly the killers.
And he knows the Menendez brothers better than most of their own family. You're saying you guys were like brothers?
Yeah, they jokingly call me the Menendez brother. it's a stupid joke.
In 1992, X-Rated was a 17-year-old gang member. Convicted of a murder he still says he didn't commit. He was sentenced to 31 years to life. He was paroled in 2018, in part due to a letter of support from Lyle and Eric. What was your first impression?
My first impression of Lyle specifically was that he was just a sturdy person. I respected his intellect.
He was first imprisoned with Lyle, who encouraged him to ditch the gang life.
He was one of the first ones to teach me to utilize my influence in a way that would allow me to have positive outcomes.
Years later, X-Rated was transferred to the same prison as Eric, so Lyle wrote his brother a letter that cemented their bond.
And when I arrived, Eric came looking for me and brought that letter and read it. He said, Lyle told him, "This is our little brother. I love him, so you love him too."
And he was there when the brothers were reunited behind bars after 2 decades apart. You were the only person in the room?
Yes, ma'am. They, hugged, and it was a very emotional day.
So the brothers' resentencing hearing is scheduled for December 11th, 2024. Their attorney, Mark Garagos, has submitted a family letter supporting their freedom and plans to present 6 key witnesses from the California Department of Corrections to testify about the brothers' rehabilitation. If the judge reduces their charges to manslaughter, the brothers could be released immediately. This case has sparked discussions around the trauma-informed criminal justice system and attitudes towards survivors of sexual violence, with changing societal perceptions influenced by feminist and LGBTQ+ activism. The outcome of their legal appeals could significantly impact criminal justice perspectives, despite some opposition from their family and others who believe they should remain imprisoned. In summary, the Menendez brothers are undergoing a legal reevaluation due to newly surfaced evidence supporting their claims of abuse, leading to potential resentencing and possible eligibility for parole.